think I did. Is that the one I gave you, or did you?
No.
print it out?
What I printed.
Let me see, what's the,
I
what is that?
printed this out tonight. This.
That's the name of it, okay.
I printed these out tonight. You didn't get them with stuff you got the other day.
Okay. Is that it?
Yep,
The grant?
that's one. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah. You got them. Yep.
Yeah.
You got
So
'em.
we need to get Cynthia's, and then this will be the
Oh,
last
good.
piece.
Okay.
We went down.
This book is probably worthless.
Looking better.
Is this one mine or yours?
That's yours, mine right here. I'll be giving you right here. So up to the pile, then I don't get mixed up with what I did. Oh,
Thank you.
sorry.
You're good. Awesome.
Oh, they got pretty colors.
Yeah, I like pretty. Do you want one of those?
No, no, colors confuse me.
Sure, I got plenty.
Oh, no, they confuse me.
So Article 1, we don't really have to do anything.
One
Article
copy?
3, we're only doing the money articles, right? We're
Oh,
only
thank
doing
you.
the money articles, right? We're not gonna read all of them. No, no,
That's correct.
Yeah, I just wanted to
That's correct.
cross that off. Optional warrant.
I think there's only two or three.
Yeah, I think it's Article 3.
The optional warrant we go over because it has money in it.
Right.
The fourth one, the tax impact, that's been something we've been pushing for years.
Yeah, so 3, 4,
Yep.
5.
5, 6, and 7. Actually, 5 we don't need.
This is for the warrant article.
That's it.
Yeah, oh, we don't need to do that one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You have this one?
Yes, I do.
That's good.
Oh, she probably wants.
Yeah. So what we're getting tonight is gonna be what we.
Okay. That's it.
Yes, it is. Want copies?
Okay. Unemployment comp.
She's gonna ask Kathy. Contains about scheme clause. What does that mean? It's the bus.
There's something wrong with that, or, you know, you don't go anything, right?
Hmm?
You don't go on with the bus coordinator, she goes through all, that's Bonnie, the one in
That's
the
right
bottom.
there. Yeah. Yeah.
She goes over those, so that's what we.
Okay. Okay.
Alright, so open pledge.
That's just these two, yes. Okay.
I'm not gonna look at this one at the end of it, I'm gonna do public hearing, 30 minutes, and that's it, I'm not gonna have discussion.
Okay.
Okay, because like, this is gonna be a storm coming, and they've already, people have said their piece,
I would hope so.
and we need to do
We're
it.
we're gonna need enough time to, yeah, the kids, we don't sit there, but
I know.
and the main cause is standing right over there.
I mean, I'm feeling what the school board came up with, I mean, I was thinking about maybe cutting more, but, I know, I was thinking, I know,
I mean, just going by this end, you've seen it.
I know, I
Back
did.
there, the color sheet, the
Yeah, I
whole
know.
radiant.
I know, I know, I don't know what it's gonna impact.
I think one of the things, we've got 3 options. Recommended budget, which is $1.80 minimum.
Yeah, we can't do that.
Not recommended, which means whatever people decide. This budget is still gonna go in. The third is a school board make you do your job, cut the budget. We're adjourning the session, we're continuing it, and then you continue it and say, we have that option, that's all I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. We're gonna make a cut, and if they couldn't do it, we're bottom line. And if
You can't do bottom line.
I know that.
Okay, okay,
We're gonna cut.
that's,
We're gonna cut, but it's still a bottom line budget.
no, what I'm saying is, they've made cuts.
Right. It's about $89,000 for
That's
SAU.
bullshit, because they don't have to make the decision, we're gonna cut it. That's why they put it there. And I will make that very clear.
I want to, because we cannot afford this. The town cannot afford this.
Which we need.
I know that.
I know you're on down. I know
I
people.
just can't be doing it. You say, no, we don't need that one, I know we don't need that one, I can't be doing that. Yes, we go into it as a committee, I work for the school. And I don't think I've showed those two.
There's only one thing that I think you have a potential conflict on, that's the paragraph.
Oh, yeah, I never vote on it.
But the rest of
Yeah,
that, it's no
abstain.
different than any
Yeah.
other year.
I always abstain.
I mean paralegals.
But I have enough issues with the para contract to take
We'll
care
see
of
who's
that.
got the balls to come down. We'll see.
None of the ones we've been, that make all the noise.
Yeah, go on. He's not gonna get on his side list tonight, 'cause I want to start that shit.
Excellent.
I'm gonna do my best.
You're not, I don't disagree with you.
I don't have the time for bullshit to go through this crap.
It's no different than any other public member at this meeting.
And Steve is doing a good job.
He's gotta stay on track.
But if there's money somewhere that we don't know, if there's something going on, I'm not putting them back in the I'm not putting that.
I'm not putting anything on you.
Because I think.
I don't know where I'm coming from. Would you, I mean, if you wanna share.
Well, I'm thinking of positions between Riverview and the principal, because he had said this before. You want to half Riverview and half Henry Gorsuch, and keep a full-time vice principal. We can do that. We've also gone,
Keep it a minute.
we wanted to have 2 vice principals, not hired here, okay? And take the one at Riverview back and forth, do a half position at Riverview and half position at Riverview.
Okay,
I'm not sure what.
but I'm not sure if they made that. That's one of my
I
questions.
think that, yeah, good. Yeah, I think that they may.
I don't think so. That's what I'm. So you know that better than I do, being part of the system. I don't like making, you know better, that's all I'm saying, yeah.
We're taking cost on Sit next to you, Sam.
Oh, sure. Yeah, many times.
How you doing?
Good.
Hi. Oh, I love your cut. Oh, thank you. Hi.
I didn't notice it.
How'd they notice it?
I don't,
The coat was on.
yeah, that's it, the coat covered it.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll answer. I'll make them up. Mm-hmm. Slipping.
Hey, Steve. What's up? Oh, I'm sorry, honey. I said honey once.
I said to her,
Okay. Okay, all right, no problem.
That's all right. That's a problem.
Penny? I'm feeling good, honey. Feeling good. What do you think? How's your holidays?
Hey, how you doing?
I don't think they brought it.
Yeah.
From that meeting, I know that
Slow and quiet, but I need to.
about your. And I wanted to.
Yes, I did, and I had something on the couch, and I said, oh, who's that? I said, well, it's about sticky fun, and they do exist, he said, and then I said, I had to give a penny. And then I was bringing pennies and forgot to go upstairs. Actually, I went to the doctor today, and I went to the doctor today, and he said,
I will address that now.
Do you need a ride?
way ahead.
I will.
I'm not going. It's just too many stairs. I'm just getting the stairs. I'm just getting the stairs now.
Hello, Cynthia.
I don't think so. I do have something.
I do it with you though.
No, I told Kathy, I didn't think I was going. It wasn't a real important meeting, and if I could get away from
I don't have it. I don't have anything to show them.
I got to carry what's in my hand.
Downstairs.
I said, don't you understand that that's
Yeah, Beth and I are in charge of
Are you?
May not be the town, but I know Massachusetts.
I don't speak, oh, you know, I've got your cups.
all the flats.
Well, I didn't really know.
One of them is, well, now,
I got hot cups. I got hot cups.
oh, we got three,
I got hot cups. I got cold
and then
cups.
there are three school
I've
age
got,
children.
now
And I don't think school has time, because
you know,
I see them in the
Yeah, I'm gonna pick up packets.
I got it. I don't, the other I don't have sugar.
Yeah.
No, I've got sugar and stuff in a little box.
but, you know, so.
Buy it.
Single room of that's probably.
Works for me.
It's a one room with 4 people.
I got a little bag. Yeah,
Any particular place?
I guess not.
I'm taking the corner.
I'm not taking any of them.
I mean, it's like a big donut.
Do you want to sit here? Or is that what you're saying?
No,
Thank you.
oh, okay.
Depends when the changes were made, or grandfathered in.
I think that has to be.
Yeah, I think you have to, but there may be.
Probably, but I'll
Hello.
As far as GA, but Dennis was still out. Wouldn't be a town concern, that may be a problem.
I should have brought my.
Yeah, we'll move over one. We'll give it a conceit. Move up one. Yeah. Our secretary. Our recorder.
Is it your?
I get a nice and warm.
Oh, thank you, Jody.
Nice and warm. Ooh.
And I get the honor of sitting next to you as I usually
Again.
do.
Yeah. Yeah. Bing, bing.
I saw that there, but I didn't.
What a hell of a week, let's put it that way. Been up there every day this week.
In Concord, yeah.
I'll check.
And then it's not that, it's after I get out of there. Because Tuesday night, I was in Barnstead, county meeting there, and then I was up in Guilford last night. County meeting up there, I got home at 9 o'clock. I'm here tonight.
All right, how are you?
Busy week. That's what I told the guy who's running this, you're gonna be stupid. He says, why? I said, you're talking 67 hours a week as a senator. And you're working 67 hours a week as a farmer, says, you don't have time. A
Sure,
senator.
actually, but we chose to play.
Time,
But I don't
takes
know that
time.
it's, well, I do know
You can't
that
have
it
a
was,
job.
I mean, as far as I know, we boarded the book, so I think
You can't have a full time.
it's done.
Probably why most of the
They're either
senators are
retired or
retired.
business.
Mobile home,
Retired or
sweet
business, yeah.
That's
Especially in the Senate. The Senate,
funny
it's
thing about a
10
mobile
times
home
more than the
park
House.
managers
Because I'm on
and some of his
3
clientele.
committees which is Tuesday,
It sounded like
Wednesdays.
it's really, but it's a
Among
two-act play, so
judiciary,
it's a single story, it's not a.
Commerce and ED&A, that's three, and then there's 17 statutory committees, one's on the airport commission, and then the Seabrook defunding, and a whole bunch of other ones.
Not the group, first time
Meet
for me.
just about, well, the airport commission is every, once a month, on Mondays. So today's my
No, I did
first
some
day.
in high school, and I did
Yeah, last
some in
week.
college, but, in that
And then
whole
on
span,
DRED,
of
which is the
3 years
Division
between
Research
that.
and Technical Development, it's another one that meets every month.
But I just wanted to get
It
back
adds up.
involved, and I was glad that I didn't know.
But
we
like I
even
said,
had
you gotta
one
be either
for years,
retired
and
or
I found out
you
that
gotta
it's like really all of the press that we get. and all
Because you hate kids, right?
Oh, yeah,
nonsense that
especially
comes
now,
out,
you have
doesn't
5 kids,
show us
17
anything
grandchildren, 7 great-grandchildren.
anything I can do to make us
I
look
didn't
like
realize you had
actual
5 kids.
One of my great-grandchildren stayed in my seat, and we stayed
Oh,
up,
yeah,
fourth
I
graders
love
come
that.
up, all the fourth graders come up, almost all the states come up to visit the house and the state house, and they go to see the governor. And she was up that day, give me a big hug, and she sat in my seat. I took a picture of her, sitting in my seat, and put it on Facebook, and Mom called me up, like, crying her eyes out. And I said, what's wrong? I said, Grampy, she looks so cute.
I don't
You
tell
see
papers
what
that
you
don't sell
need.
actors.
All right, cool. Relax, save that picture.
You know it's fun and you cry at everything. Happy, sad.
It is.
It is. I'm trying to avoid anything that would possibly.
There was fourth graders from Rochester, no, Alton, they're this past Tuesday. And we had a committee meeting in Representative Hall, so it was packed. And they're waiting for me to get up to introduce me. You can't do that because the person's speaking on the microphone talking about the bill.
But for picking
They
it
kept
up.
going.
Yeah, I think so.
And there's a camera on us too, by the way.
37 years.
You can see me doing this, but I don't know why. So they ended up going to the Senate chamber, and I went in there and talked to them about 3 minutes. And I excused myself, I said, I have to get back up on the committee meeting. And I said, but remember one thing, you're all our children. That means all the senators love you. And they do. You have to give these kids credit. And the schools and principals and everybody to get these kids out there. It's their house, it's their state house, and the senators should be there. Joe does, when the schools come up in this district, Joe's up there. It's where it's supposed to be. You meet and greet.
Who's missing? Anybody?
But it's fun, for $100 a year. It doesn't really. Somebody was asking me that. I said, well, I did put a bill in back in 2002 to pay the representatives and senators $10,000. So all we get is $100, $200 check. When you get elected, it's
That's quite a pay
187.
raise.
$187. Well, yeah, there was a niche to it. Actually, every time you miss a meeting, you get docked $1,000. Any meeting.
There's always a catch.
Yeah. It never made the committee. It never made it into committee. They scrapped it.
But there's have you ever figured it out? Does $100 even cover your gas?
I get gas mileage.
Oh, you get mileage
I
too?
don't know that we have. No, I think we have
50
to do
plus
it.
internet. And it comes, I just cashed my check today, it's $127.
Maybe the
4
optional
days,
ones
after
are
4 days.
something that we put. No, this is a school district.
Yeah, so maybe because you have.
It's 80 miles round trip, 40 miles there, 40 miles back. I do too. But when I go to Seabrook, because I'm in the Seabrook decommissioned funding, that's 128 miles round trip, I only pay for it. So I'm not going to Concord. I wouldn't do anything, from my house to Concord, they pay for it. And there are some meetings in Concord.
So if you go anyplace else, you don't get paid for it. I didn't know that either.
And Seabrook is quarterly. I go there quarterly. I just went there 2 weeks ago on a Monday, and they ended up paying for my food. So that was cool. The lawyer pays for my food anyway. He always does. And I usually have.
You're
Oh,
being
yeah,
turned
here it is.
off.
Yeah, okay.
They know me. I can't buy
For
them.
lunch.
Let me tell you.
Well, it was voted to place.
I have the color. I went to Galley Hatch in Hampton, and then we had a meeting there, and then we had a meeting at the nuclear plant for the town people. It's like this. It's an open meeting. So they ask questions. Then maybe 4 people came in. That was it. A half an hour. We're all done.
Okay, that's with the parent contract too.
But one day they must have been like 67 people, all complaining about the radiation. So one of the guys was saying, oh, I'm getting too much alpha at my house.
Okay, yeah, and
I knew the guy
That
too,
one's in
and I asked him, I said, how do you know you're getting alpha? He said, I got a meter. And he said, that thing
and is
pegs
there
every
fund
day.
balance?
Yeah.
I said, well, come to my committee. And I said, and present that. I want to see that. I want to see the chart. He said he had a
Yeah,
strip chart.
we're not gonna have an
He brought it up and he says it's alpha, right? I said, I know it's alpha. I could see the meter. But you know how far do we live from a plant? He said about 14 miles.
Yeah.
I said, how far alpha travels?
We're not gonna have
That far.
what's left at the end of the
So what's making the meter ping then, or is he just,
The sun,
really?
the sun puts out gamma rays and neutrons all every day. We get hit with bombarded with
So
it.
do you think he was just
He was quiet. He didn't
ignorant,
know.
or
He was
was he
ignorant. He
doing
knew
it
what he
on
was doing.
purpose?
He knew.
Ah,
He's part of that clamshell
Five,
alliance.
4, 3, 2, 1, we're alive. You guys ready?
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the public hearing for the school budget. I would like to ask everyone to stand for the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before I open the public hearing, there are a lot of people here, and I'm glad to see that. I'd like everyone to be respectful. We're talking about money, positions, not personnel, not position, but not people. I want everyone to say what they have to say, but just to be in a respectful tone. That's all I ask. At this time, I'd like to open up the public hearing. If you'd like to, if anyone from the public would like to say anything, please do.
Do we have a microphone? Are they coming up here?
Yep.
Just come up front, please. Oh, open mic right over here. See on my pen already?
Yes, I started.
I know. I didn't see their hand. Oh, Angie Cardinal?
That doesn't amplify.
That only goes out public, you have to speak up.
Okay, my name is Angie Cardinal, I'm a resident of Farmington, and, I guess my initial questions I have, just procedural wise, at this particular public hearing, is it the board's intention to take a vote on passing the warrant articles to then bring them to the deliberative session? Passing them.
Okay. What right now is if, after the public hearing, we're gonna make a decision. We'll close the public hearing in 30 minutes, and then we'll make a decision. So if you want to state anything, give your opinion on anything, that's what you're, it's not gonna be a discussion back and forth. After I close the public hearing in 30 minutes, then we'll talk, Lori might do an update on a presentation, a small presentation, and then we're gonna make our decision, and then the meeting will be over.
So there won't be an opportunity for public comment?
Not at the end, it's a public hearing, that's why I'm giving people 30 minutes to, legally you have 30 minutes, people are here, and, so this is the time, it's not gonna be a debate back and forth, that's not what this is about.
So then at the risk of kind of stating some of the obvious that's going to be part of the presentation and discussion, I just wanted to bring up the, health insurance change that was promised as part of the delivery from the SAU to the budget committee of the school budget plan. And then likewise, since the hearing on December 5th, the SAU budget was included into the school budget. Back then it was separate and this board didn't have any influence over the SAU budget directly. So the fact that you do now, I think is quite important. And I just wanted to point out a couple of things. It's kind of reiterating what was put in that presentation on December 5th. $320,000 of savings was promised in this budget as on health insurance change, on the health insurance line. And I'm sure you're aware, the last update from the school board, the Farmington School Board, and the SAU School Board was that that change isn't going to happen. So if the bottom line remains the same as what was proposed, then that's an additional $320,000 in the health insurance lines for the personnel of the school, but also roughly $30,000, maybe just shy of $29,000 or so, on the SAU employees and those that take the health insurance. There was supposed to be a savings there. And I don't think that the latest versions, that's obvious to you. So when you're talking about the number of cuts, additional cuts that the Farmington School Board will have to make if this bottom line remains the same, please know that, and I hope this is part of the update. That's why I asked if it was afterwards, because you don't need to hear from me. I'm just paying attention. I'm not part of any decision makers at this time. But I just wanted to point out to you that in addition to the $1.15 million in cuts that this document that you have shows you, some of those aren't going to happen on the lines where it's documented. I guess that's my only point.
I believe the 350,000 that you're talking about is included, it's part of that 1.5 million from last year's budget that was
Yes,
reduced.
but I was just saying
It's
that
not an
it's
additional.
not, yeah, it's not going to be able to happen on those lines as it's presented in the
Thanks for the
school budget.
answering her, but do you have anything that you wanna, a point that you wanna make, Angie?
Yes,
Any other points?
I suppose that it's in the hands right now of this budget committee to decide whether or not the Farmington schools can absorb that additional change. It was supposed to be in the form of a health insurance policy change, and that's not going to happen. So obviously, it'll be up to the Farmington School Board and the SAU staff as to where those reductions will have to come, since it can't happen on the health insurance change. But I guess my question to you is, since you have the ability right now to add additional dollars to the budget as a bottom line because of the health insurance change, it's not going to happen. Consider that as opposed to just holding to the number that was initially proposed. There was a big change from then until now.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Something you want to follow up on? No, we're good. Is there a magic deadline that passed that says the health insurance can't change now because they've had a meeting?
I was gonna talk about it,
Yeah.
as part of the presentation and providing you with an update.
Okay.
So
That
let me-
would,
Hear you. She's gonna provide an update.
Yeah. So,
but her presentation will be after the public hearing, correct? All right, so I wanted to ask my question so that the public may have some input.
The
on
microphones
the
are
answer.
not
Okay.
for here, they're only for the TV.
Yeah, but they can hear her here, right?
Thanks. No, only the TV stand.
I'm gonna,
But the people on TV can hear her, and
Yeah.
Mel
Oh,
will
yeah.
talk louder.
yeah.
thank you.
So
Tom.
there is no, quote, magic deadline. It is intended that, any change to insurance, the way it's been crafted through advice of counsel, is that it's a memorandum of understanding. It does it for the remaining year of the teachers' collective bargaining agreement. So it would be a memorandum of understanding if the parties agree to the initial offer that was provided back November 20th.
And you'll give that through the presentation. We have
Correct.
somebody else. Go
That's
ahead.
correct.
And can I make a suggestion that if anybody at this table speaking, that they go there so they can hear them behind them? Just a suggestion.
That's why I would have loved to have this either at the town hall or at the Farmington High School.
Hello, my name is Laura Vittorioso. I have been a Farmington resident for 12 and a half years and a member of the local PTA for the last 5 years. Obviously, the school budget has been a big topic of conversation in recent months. Last night at the Farmington Middleton Parent Teacher Association meeting, the group unanimously voted the 9-0 vote with one abstention to recommend that to the budget committee to increase the tax rate rather than to make further cuts to the school budget. We had discussed the health insurance costs as a the school budget has already been significantly cut due to the withdrawal of Middleton students, and as a group, the PTA feels that further cuts to cover insurance costs would be detrimental to the school and to the children of Farmington. We realize that this recommendation will increase the tax rate by approximately, and don't quote my math, I'm not one, not mathematician, $1.02, but feel that the importance of a positive educational experience for our children far outweighs this tax increase at this time. We, like I said, discussed it at great length and really feel as a group that the $1.3 million cut is huge and that our children deserve better than that. We understand that the Middleton withdrawal was very difficult for the budget, and that there have been some tough decisions made. But we also feel that that is enough, that we can increase our taxes. To me personally, it is worth $1.02 or $1.50 per whatever my house is worth for my children to have an education here. My children have grown so much with Farmington, and I feel that it would be really important for them to continue their education, and the further cuts of teachers and administrators would be absolutely detrimental to them. Like I said, I have a 4th grader, a 3rd grader, and a kindergartner. My kindergartner next year obviously will be the first time of full day school, and is right now lined up to be in a classroom of 22 to 23 students with no paraprofessional. That is very difficult for any teacher to try and teach any kindergartner or any class without support, and we really feel, or I personally feel, that there have been a significant amount of cuts, and it would be more positive to raise the tax rate at this time.
Thank you. Anyone else? We can go through the budget if you keep the public hearing open and we can start going.
Okay.
If you want to do that. What we're gonna do, we'll keep the public hearing open for 30 minutes. It's supposed to be bad weather, so I wanna start this, if someone says anything to say within the 30 minutes, I'll let you speak. Carol? I'm really sorry.
You want me to repeat?
No, what we're gonna do, Carol, is we're gonna keep the public hearing open for 30 minutes. But what I'm gonna do at this time is I'm gonna have Lori do a presentation, and if someone comes in that wants to speak about the budget, I'll give them that chance. So,
Did
Lori?
everybody hear that?
I'm pretty loud. So, Lori's gonna give a presentation of an update. If nobody else wants to speak, I'm not gonna.
No.
Right?
Hope everybody can hear me. Can everybody hear me here in the audience? Okay, I'll do the best I can to speak up. I'm kind of a low talker. We're letting the smart board system warm up. But I want to thank you for coming out this Friday evening. Typically, we don't do a meeting on a Friday evening, so I do appreciate all of you coming out, as well as our administrative staff, the public, to be able to talk about our budget. My purpose here is just to give you an update of where we left off on Saturday, December 5th. We have had some changes since our meeting of December 5th. And one of those basically has been that, the primary change has been that legal counsel had advised the Farmington School Board that they should be including as part of your warrant number 3, for your general operating budget, the SAU costs for operating the SAU budget. Council said that at this point, since we're in sort of like a unique flux where we have a district leaving and we're going to go down to a single district, that it is appropriate that it is a one line in your budget. You'll notice that as part of all of this detail that has been put up on the website, that the SAU budget is just one line, and then included on the SAU is actually the breakdown of all of the detail of that. So, council said that it would be part of warrant number 3. And essentially, it does mean that the budget committee does have full disclosure of the detail of the SAU, as well as the Farmington board. Also, since our December 5th presentation to you, the Farmington board did make a change, and actually it was a bottom line change. The end of page 38, we did have a discussion at one of our subsequent meetings that they would reduce the bottom line by $89,975. This represented the difference of the SAU budget last year and the SAU budget going forward. We are still in a bit of flux, I would say, as to how that exact line is going to be determined and how that cut is going to be applied. It's difficult to say. We looked at where we are in positions at this time. We feel that we've already cut enough positions that relate to the decreased enrollment of Middleton students departing from the district. As you look through the detail of your budget, I just want to point out that basically almost every line, 98% of the lines of this 800-line budget has had a decrease to it. Only about 2% of them have had an increase. And I would have to say it is for something such as workers' compensation coverage that required by law. Maybe it is a special education placement, again, required by law. But out of all of these 800+ lines, there have been, including the SAU budget, there have also been reductions. So your bottom line in the general fund, yes.
You've got a bottom, that $89,785 taken off the bottom line. What line is that coming from? We can't approve a budget not knowing where that money is not being taken from. You're asking this board, not you specifically.
Right.
You're asking this board and the public to trust that you're gonna make this cut from a line that we're gonna approve, and you're not telling us what line it's coming from.
And essentially, we as administration, we've combed over the budget. We really don't know. We really don't see where we can go. We really don't.
So the school
So,
board has to have that amount
The
of
school
money.
board is gonna have to make that decision.
Then why, how can we approve it? Doesn't matter if it's a bottom line budget, and I'm tired of hearing it. We have to go by the line numbers. The people in this town vote and make their decisions based on where you're spending this money and what line it's coming out of. For all we know, you could be taking that out of GED. You could be taking it out of Title I. We don't know. Granted, you manage it to the bottom line, but we want to know where it's coming from. That's all there is to it.
So the,
And you people that, school board did not do their job in assigning where that money's coming from. And you're looking for us to approve it.
Okay, hold on.
No.
I was just gonna tell you where we probably should take it.
When I'm done, please?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a couple other lines that the same thing has happened with. And it's not gonna get by me. And I'm assuming it's not gonna get by a few other members on this board. Okay, Kath. I'm sorry. You recognize Kath?
I did.
Okay.
No, that's okay.
Do you wanna come on up here?
I can.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, only because, okay.
All right. You're right, I guess when we proposed the cuts to this budget, we threw some cuts out there, and one of them, when we made the cuts, we actually voted on the cuts, but the discussion on this particular item, 89,785, was actually the increase in the SAU budget for this year. However, the protocol for doing that, we did not, you're right, we did not specify, so they took it out of the bottom line. The other cut, which was approximately $75,000, the discussion there was an assistant principal.
Yes.
But this particular thing that you're talking about, the discussion prior to making this cut, I believe the motion was from, Joe to cut that amount of money, and that is the amount of money that, the SAU budget was going up for the next year.
I understand, I was there at that meeting,
Yeah,
I
so,
understand
I mean-
what happened,
Yeah, but you're right,
but you're passing the buck.
Yeah, but
So, Ian? Okay, Jody?
So this 89,000, if it's supposed to come out of the SAU, or that was presumably, why
That's the
can't
one.
we take this and put it onto the SAU line? So that it definitely comes out of theirs. Are we able to do that?
Well, I think that's really a directive that has to come from the school board.
They have to identify what line under the SAU budget that it would come out of.
Okay.
I saw some of that meeting on TV, Kathy, and I think that you said a position, but I don't know if you voted on that. You gave
we voted on the cut, but we did not specify the line, but the discussion leading up to that particular line and cut, we were discussing the SAU line.
yes,
Kathy, you said twice that $89,000 represented an increase in the SAU budget. My understanding is the SAU budget actually decreased. That $89,000 represents tax impact that would be shifted to Farmington from Middleton. So it's not a budget increase.
Well,
It's a tax impacting, a change in the tax impact.
on the responsibility.
right, on the, yes.
But the
But
budget
line-
actually went
The
down.
line, when we looked at the line, that was the amount of the line. On the actual, which I didn't bring, I don't have the actual SAU budget. But we did not vote as a board to do that specifically. We just voted to make that cut with discussion leading, the discussion leading up to that cut was the SAU budget.
And I thought the tax impact from Middleton's withdrawal was around 117,000, not 89. So where's the difference there?
We made some other cuts in the SAU.
That had happened prior
Middleton's-
to the
Right, Middleton's
89,000?
share in this current year budget of 15-16 is 118,000. So essentially, I mean, we took out the 118, we still cut out money out of the budget because we renegotiated the SAU lease.
Okay.
We had the landlord was willing to reduce it down to $1,800 a month. Plus some other costs that we definitely were shaving out. The health insurance buybacks also, we're on year 4 of 5 going forward, where that health insurance buyback is being reduced. So areas here and there that are cut from the budget, you know.
So some of that
That-
117 was absorbed by that, and then this 89,000 represents the rest?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So just to continue with the update of where we were on December 5th, just want to also just talk briefly about the health insurance piece. We began working with IPG consultants. They are an insurance consultant who works both with private and public school districts. So they understand what terms of collective bargaining means and what the process is. They also are very experienced in really looking at benefits, and are benefits comparable? Are benefits, do they fit into, you know, our geographic location? Plus, they also look at numbers too, as far as premiums. Do they really fit into premiums for the northeast region of our country, as opposed to out west or middle of the country? So with that, we've been working with them. I've been working with them for months and months now. So we did come up with what we thought would have been a solution. That would be a consumer-driven health plan. And so we provided some information to the teachers, because they are the largest population of 110 people that have this plan, who would be affected by a change. So we did provide some information through the UNISERV director back in middle of November. We did have a response back this past Monday, and Mrs. Moran was on that negotiation committee. And essentially, it is comparable in that we came up with some percentages that would make it pretty attractive. And I don't know if Ms. Moran, do you want to talk a little bit further since you were at those negotiations about it, or, but essentially it would be a memorandum of understanding so that it does not have to, because there's no cost impact that's going to come out of the pockets of employees. That's the critical piece. There's no additional cost to the employees. So it doesn't mean that you have to come up with an entirely new agreement. It can be by way of a memorandum of understanding. And our legal counsel worked us through that part. So I don't know if you want to add any.
More to add.
Yeah.
I mean, we can show what we gave.
Right. So time-wise, we're really hoping that perhaps maybe prior to deliberative session, that there can be some more discussion on their end, really taking a much closer look at it. The idea of making this offer through the teachers is that it also affects everyone in the district. 164 employees, including the SAU. Yes?
2 questions. Has this change been approved by the teachers or not?
No.
So they voted it down?
You know, I don't know for certain, to be honest with you.
Then who turned it down? Is there something?
But there's a difference between a memorandum of understanding that here's an offer of something that's going to be a comparable change that isn't going to cost you any more money versus, so
But I'm confused.
it's not.
I'm confused. Penny, if it didn't go to the teachers, who turned it down?
The negotiating team said that it was a no-go.
No-go? And then negotiation
I don't know if they
didn't?
brought, what I'm hearing from members is they hadn't seen it. What changed was a little bit of the change, is the exposure. So people can hear.
Yeah.
The exposure that they could possibly have with deductibles was the biggest change. So if they had a $1,000 deductible, it went to a $2,000 deductible, but there was also a health savings account that we were talking to. It's a choice plan.
Okay.
So does that help?
No, because I'm trying to figure out who turned it down. I mean, if it didn't go to a vote and the teachers don't know about it, it never left the negotiation table?
I guess it didn't.
We don't know, we're just, you know.
Okay.
Allegedly, it sounds like that.
Okay.
Provided an offer, and
We-
we were told on Monday it was a no.
The letter went out to the UNISERV director on the 20th, and the first time we sat down at the table with them was Monday.
The 20th of what?
November.
Okay, thank you. Follow-up, I'm sorry, Steve.
No, go ahead.
Follow-up, the SAU part of this insurance agreement was somewhere in the neighborhood of $30,000 deduction.
Right, that's part of the 324. So
Okay.
don't count it
It's not
twice. Please
additional.
don't count it twice.
Okay, it's a total of 324.
Right, correct.
Regardless of what happened with the teachers' union agreeing to this, will that $30,000 from the SAU still be realized?
No, because the overall cost impact is based upon a census of 164 people.
Okay.
So, you know, your larger pool is what can also help to drive down premium costs.
Okay, so it's an all or nothing deal.
So what we came up with the, it's called a yellow plan. It has a choice fund. And basically the difference is that the yellow plan now has a combined medical and prescription with your deductible of $1,000, $2,000 maximum. It also has a national network, whereas opposed to what they currently have on an HMO, I think what they call a green plan, it's just the Cigna network, and it's two separate. You look at prescriptions and medical separately.
So the piece to be able to get it launched would be that the employee goes in and does a confidential health assessment through the insurance company. And basically by doing that, it helps to go and launch what's called a choice fund. And so that gets it launched for the employee as well as the contribution that the district said that they would continue in addition
So
to
this
their health
320
insurance.
was already taken off the budget that's in front of us.
Right.
This would, what's apparently being asked is that it be added back into the budget. That's an option. An option to add that. If it's not, what impact?
There is a tax impact.
That's a tax
We-
impact of roughly 75
If it's not,
cents.
well, if it's added back into the budget, the tax impact of 324,000 divided by your assessment, 440 million, is 73 cents on the tax rate.
Right.
If it's not added back into the budget, we are running a risk of looking at what our services are going to be to students. That's what we're looking at. Our services meaning staff, teaching staff. And that's really not that's not where we want to even be going. We don't want to be in that position whatsoever.
Not mine.
Yeah, it's 30 minutes,
Oh.
but I'm gonna let people, if they have a chance to remind me again.
I have a question, and then I see you.
Go ahead, Steve.
Is the current plan considered under Obamacare a Cadillac plan?
No, it's not. No. The current plan?
The
Proposed plan?
The plan that exists today, that the teachers have now?
Yes, there would be potentially a Cadillac tax on it. Let's say if Cadillac tax did go into effect January 2018, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. The proposed insurance?
And proposed insurance, no, at this point, no. It is not considered to be a plan that's too rich.
That was not my
Yeah.
understanding
Okay.
from the presentation that I went to. It had less of a Cadillac tax impact, but it was still a Cadillac plan. So did something change in the plan from the presentation we were given?
Well, actually,
It
what
was-
I'd be looking at, for example, the Cadillac threshold is what, 10,500? I think it's
It
10,500.
changes annually, I believe.
Yeah, all right. So all things remain constant. For example, an HMO single, the cost to the employer is $7,915. Cost for a single HMO per year is $1,288. So it does not exceed, if you're looking at 10,500 being your Cadillac tax cap, it doesn't.
Well, that was the single plan. I thought there was still a Cadillac tax impact. It was just a lot less with this plan, but it still seemed like it was a Cadillac plan.
Not.
right. I'll see if I can find that
Okay.
presentation.
All right, because I certainly, absolutely, verify.
Are you all set?
Thanks.
Okay.
Lynn?
Oh, I guess I should direct this to Lori with the insurance.
Sure.
Can
Lynn,
you
It's my
come to a mic,
understanding
please?
that the insurance school care.
Yeah, Lynn, do you mind going to the mic, please? Her name is Lynn Olden.
That way everybody can hear you.
How about if I stand over here?
Sorry, Lori, thank you.
Hi, I'm Lynn Olden. It was my understanding, we got notification earlier in the spring that school care would be bought out by Blue Cross. And I believe I actually saw that on the news as well. So the numbers that we see here reflect school care coverage. We have no idea what coverage is going to cost once Blue Cross takes over. Blue Cross has actually already taken over, even though we're still called school care, until the end of this school year. So I'm not sure how this committee that figured out all these numbers actually came up with this if we don't have any new numbers from Blue Cross.
I'll be glad to
I'll be glad to answer that.
No, I don't,
Wait,
And,
go ahead, Lori.
Hence, I mean, it's a very, very good question, that when you're looking at health insurance and what's it actually going to cost everyone. I guess that I know that there's discussion nationwide about Cigna and Anthem merging. To my knowledge, it has not been anything definite, but that the numbers that have been provided to us are numbers that are going to be what's called guaranteed maximum rate provided by school care through an RFP process, a request for proposal process. So if they, as in school care, have provided the annual premium, like I said, the single HMO for the employee of $1,288 a year, that has to stick. That can't change for 16-17. That is considered what's called a GMR, guaranteed maximum rate. So, do I have a crystal ball to understand what's going to happen if something does occur with a Cigna Anthem merger and buyout? No, I don't, but I know that it's school care's plan to certainly still continue. They're certainly quite solvent, and they've picked up other school districts converting, like, for example, Concord is one that's has converted, and I know that Dover is in the process of looking to convert to a yellow plan with a choice fund. So I hope I answered your question, but what they provide to us through that RFP, they can't change the number. I mean, they understand. I mean, that's why we hired the consultant and working with the director over there. It has to be a GMR. They understand the whole budget process as well, and why we need to have hard and fast numbers. So, Steve?
Sounded like you said the plan was $1,288 a year. That doesn't sound right.
That's for the employee share for an
That's employee
HMO.
share. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Are you all set, Lori? Do you have anything else you want to add, or?
Yeah, well, I got sort of like jibber-jabbered and they're on a roll. What,
Sorry.
I think I've probably talked enough.
okay, I have a question.
Well,
I just wanted to give you those updates. Those are some of the pieces, and
so do you want to stand there? Because I think the board has some questions for you, or you can sit.
okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. That's
You don't have to be terrified.
Yeah, we're not going to hurt you.
I might.
I'll keep them back.
Oh, we kept him in the
I'll hold
front
them
corner.
back for you.
Yeah,
ahead.
and it'll hold me down. There was a cut for the vice principal position, and there was some debate over where that was going to come from. Cool, I need one of those at home. Where is that cut on the budget?
Well, let's see. I just had Smart Board 101, so I'm not very good. I don't
That's
know. I
still
guess it's
101 more than I
Yes.
had.
It'll be right here.
What's that, page 23?
Right. Page 23, line 495.
Okay.
the discussion with the board was to be able to, the directive was cutting a principal, assistant principal, excuse me.
And it was cut from Valley View.
It was cut from Valley View. That is not a decision, basically, that the board made. It's not a decision that the administration made. It basically became a numeric decision so that I could get documents prepared and out to you so that we could at least get to something of a bottom line.
So this is
For that
another,
reason, I have left $1 in there.
this is another unassigned cut?
You know, we as an administration are just concerned about having that cut. Even tried to wrap our heads around the concept of sharing another assistant principal. And you really do lose continuity when those assistant principals are working with students, they're working with parents, other teachers, guidance, to try and have that kind of coverage. And if you're trying to share it with another individual from another building, you really lose the whole continuity. I don't know if you want to add any, I don't know if you want to add anything to that, because you were You've worked in buildings.
I think part of it is not just the continuity, but if you're looking at an assistant principal position, that just theoretically, just, tossing out there in conversation, might be part-time in one building and part-time in another. They're not part of any one school. They're not there to build those relationships. They might be in, and again, I'm just throwing things out as examples. You might have somebody in Valley View 3 hours in the morning, or 3.5 hours, 4 hours in the morning, and somebody in Henry Nelson 3.5, 4 hours in the afternoon. Well, if an incident happens in Valley View in the afternoon, there may not be somebody who can deal with it. Or if a parent needs to come in for a meeting for Valley View and they can only come in the afternoon, yet the assistant principal's supposed to be at the other school. Every time we looked at these scenarios, we just felt like it was the children and the relationships and the continuity of programming, they would be the ones losing out.
Would you like to hear from any of our other principals on the matter, or?
No, thank you.
Okay.
No offense.
It sounds to me that the administration doesn't have a recommendation of where to take the AP from, so it's gonna be up to the school board to decide.
That's what it sounds like.
But they have not decided,
Exactly,
but we're asked to approve.
exactly.
Okay.
Just so we're clear.
All right. Next.
All right, next.
Any other questions for Lori?
Oh, there'll be more, but not in
Mike?
this
Okay,
particular.
all right. Anything from the public? Yes.
I have to say what Cynthia just said about.
Mike. Say your name, please, Deb.
I have to say what
Kate.
Cynthia just said about the assistant principal
P-A-T.
going from school to school. I can guarantee it because last year with the parent cuts, we're in a room for 1 hour, we go to another room for another hour, we're in another room which is a third different room for another hour, hour and a half, and you don't get to know the students, you don't build those relationships, and you don't feel part of what's going on. And when you go home at the end of the day, you don't feel like you finished your job.
Anyone else from the public? Yes? Sorry, Lynn. Thank you.
Lynn Olden again. Speaking to the assistant principal job at Valley View specifically, if you do away with the Valley View assistant principal, you are taking away some valuable hands that deals with many of the emotional children that we have in Valley View every day. If we don't have that position available to us, you will probably have children running out of the building and being unsafe, hurting themselves in other ways. As it is now, I don't feel that with the para position cuts that we have enough hands anyway to help protect our kids, to help teach them, to guide them, and do whatever we need to do up there. My position right now is split, and the other nurse and I feel that things are working well in that respect, and also proposed that we could get along without the nurse, the third nurse, if we had a different kind of setup, maybe. But that's a whole nother story. If you do away with that assistant principal position at Valley View, I'm really afraid of what the children are going to be putting up with or dealing without.
Yes.
I'd like to know how many children are in each school. Does anyone have that figure?
They're in here.
That's in
Is that in there?
Yeah, right there.
I have it right here.
Okay.
Okay, so as of January 1st, total Valley View enrollment is 395. Henry Wilson's enrollment is 410. and the high school is 298.
Thank you.
Probably more interested in the projected enrollment.
And after June
Right.
30th, can you give us an,
Okay, so what, let me see, so we will have,
I know that you've given that us to before, but I'd like to have that.
Valley View will go down to 262.
That's without, in kindergarten, we are projecting
Without Middleton.
around 350.
Okay, thank you.
Say that again?
Thank you.
That's without kindergarten numbers, so we were projecting around 350 students
Okay.
with the new kindergarten.
Okay.
Program,
Thanks.
thank you. Okay. See, they watch what I do. They watch, this checks and balances here. So, okay, so I think we're looking at, let me see, your Henry Wilson is gonna have, I think 363 projected. And essentially, the high school, we'll just have the graduate, there really isn't going to be a reduction in numbers. We've already had the high school depart.
Cynthia, I don't want to put you on the spot, but you were vice principal and a principal at Valley View for a long time and at Henry Wilson. How many kids did you have max at one time without vice principal?
I think our high was around 450.
Okay.
But there were other supports in place.
Correct.
Giving supports for some of the things that an assistant principal currently
Like your
does.
BEAM program, could you tell me
There
your
was
supports?
support through some behavior programs for supporting students with behavior needs, helping them, young children, kindergartners, first graders, who've never been in school, kind of learn the ropes. For those that may be having a little harder time than the norm of doing that, putting pieces in play. And through the special education department, there were some coordinators who actually attended the meetings and did some of the things where an administrator needs to be at the certain meetings under the special education regulations.
Thank you. Yes.
It's difficult for this board to really address the position of the assistant principal. Even if we were to vote later on to add the money back in for the assistant principal position, it sounds like the school board still would not add that position. They've made the decision to cut it, so just us adding the money in doesn't compel them to use it for an assistant principal at all. So it's a better argument made at their meetings because they are the ones that control how the money is spent. The best that we can do is determine how much money they have to spend. I think even if we were to add that in, if we supported the position, it really needs to be supported by the school board more so than the budget committee.
Stan?
Just a comment as a citizen, I suppose, and as a school board member, but the school board is under a tremendous amount of pressure from this committee and from the town to keep our taxes low. And as you can see, some of the discussions about exactly where to cut that money is a very difficult choice. So we really have to have a conversation about what it is we want our schools to be and what it is we want our town to be. And it shouldn't be just based on the bottom line of what our tax rate is. It should be what kind of community do we want to be. As opposed to, I'm not opposed or for cutting a position, but I do know that the statistics is that a 400 population is about the size where an assistant principal is necessary. So we're teetering around there. And so the board decided maybe we can do without one and cut, instead of cutting all three, we can just cut one and try to save some of this because it was felt by some people in the past that we were administration heavy. So we left it on to the administration of the schools to decide where that cut would be. And it just was taken out of the Valley View line because it needs to come from somewhere, and that's where they decided to take it. So whether or not that was a move for sympathy, I don't know. But I'm just saying that that's what the board did, and it's kind of unfair to say that the board didn't make any decisions when we actually did ask the administration to make those decisions since they're on the ground. We would have preferred, as a board, that some of the disciplinary problems that the assistant principals were taking care of could be taken care of by a paraprofessional or a lower paid salary position that we had lost, and maybe we can replace some of those and save some money that way. So we were trying to make as much of a serious and yet thoughtful cut as we can without destroying some of the culture that has been created over these years. And so, now you know how difficult it is to try to make some of these decisions when you're just looking at the money and you're not looking at what is behind those costs. So, thank you.
Thank you. At this time, it's 7:52. I'm going to close the public hearing unless someone has some, I do see a hand. Okay.
Hi, again, my name is Laura Vittorioso. I just wanted to say in closing, I understand that no one wants their taxes to go up. Believe me, I don't really want my taxes to go up either, but the bottom line is that our children and our schools are worth it. And if you keep cutting the budget and don't give back anything, then you're not going to have kids and you're not going to have a town. So I really want to stress again that we need to support our schools, and as a budget committee, I am urging that you increase the budget for that $320,000 for the insurance and any other to at least make it back to the default. Thank you.
Okay. I'm closing, excuse me?
No.
Okay. I am closing the public hearing at 7:53. Okay. Want to go line by line, or do you want to make?
Let's go first for the elephant in the room.
Okay.
Let's tackle the addition of the $320,000 for the healthcare.
Let me say 24.
Whatever, yeah, round it up, 320. I'd say keep as far as that's concerned, keep it the way it is. That adds 73 cents to the tax rate. Everybody's saying how we're doing it for the kids, we're doing it for the schools need it. The school taxes have gone up 120% since 2004. 120%. The town taxes have gone up 12% in that same amount of time. So something ain't happening, and something isn't working. You're looking for another $1.86 on the tax rate without the warrant articles. $1.59 on the without the warrant articles, and adding another 73 cents for the health care brings it to a $2.32. That's just unmanageable. The taxpayers can't take it. You've got people that aren't getting any. Stan's waiting.
Oh.
You've got taxpayers that they can't afford another $2.30 on their tax rate. You've got people that aren't getting raises that are fixed income. You've got people that I hear from that can't afford to live in their house any longer because your tax rate has gone up. This year we're looking at $378 on a $200,000 home. For some of these older people or some of these people that are on fixed income, they are getting no increase to cover this. So,
Stan?
it's got to come from someplace.
Stan, you had your hand up?
Yeah, a couple of points. I think it's unfair to compare the town, how much the rate goes up in the town compared to the school, because the school has liabilities that it legally must comply with, and the town doesn't necessarily have that. If you want to go without snow plowing, we can just not plow our roads. We can't not provide education for children that's required. So it's an unfair comparison to say that or to blame the school because they're not as low as the town in their increase.
I'm not suggesting they're as low.
I have the floor, I think. So the point is that we really need to decide whether or not we want to continue to have cuts and make our schools worse, and so that people move away, and then we have less people in town, and then our taxes go up more, so we have to cut more, so then more people move away? Or do we want to spend a little money right now so that we can get a good school system, attract people to move in, when the houses are filled, all of our empty homes are filled with families and their children, our numbers will go up and our taxes will go down. But we have to make a decision now whether we want to live on the cheap right now and let everything go to pot, or whether we want to try to build something. And I think that we cannot cut anything else. It's unfortunate that the insurance didn't go through, but it's a fact of life. We need to pay these things. We can't cut anymore. So we need to just pay it, and hopefully we'll get over this hump with Middleton leaving and go from there. But we have to start on a positive note. We can't start on a negative note where things are just hectic and wrong, and the school is in a bad place. Thank you.
Sure.
For 13 years, it's been going up. It's got to stop. The end.
And just to rebut that, one, it is a safety issue if we don't, excuse me, if we don't plow our roads, so we have to. And there are liabilities on the town side. And also, we don't want to throw money at something to fix a problem, because money doesn't fix a problem. But we are trying to be, we are all for education here, and we're trying to make the right decision. That's my little horse, yes?
I mean, I'm a former teacher, and I empathize with the teachers and everything, but I now work in private industry. I haven't had a raise in 5 years, not one raise. Our health insurance, we have a $4,000 deductible on our health insurance in private industry. So when you bitch and moan and groan, you know what? Leave the schools and go work in private industry and see what it's like. It's a lot harder.
All right, let's get back to the
And
budget.
trying to pay our taxes, I'm a taxpayer too. I can't afford for my taxes to go up, so.
Yes, Steve?
Things have changed. Middleton has left. You can't focus all the need to change on one group. There is an option on the table to keep things pretty even-keeled. That option has not expired. Things can still change there, but we can keep the schools much the way that they are now without adding even more tax burden.
So Ann, this is correct that this is going up $1.86 without this even considering the $350,000?
That included the warrants, though.
That includes the warrants.
That includes the warrants. Our taxes are already going up, an additional $186 over last
159.
year.
No,
Oh, excuse me, 159, the other two are the warrants, including the warrants.
Okay.
It's 159 for the budget, 22% for the paraeducator, 22 cents, excuse me, and 5 cents for the passenger van.
Okay, thanks.
Was the van, I thought there was a bigger bus than a van.
I thought it was a bigger bus too.
So 34
Actually, yeah, that is my typo. It really is a 47-passenger bus. Working with the Transportation Department and Ms. Tellis,
What's it say? for the
that,
warrant?
right, it is.
The number's right, though.
That's correct.
That's 1 year.
The numbers have been, right, numbers
Okay.
have been verified. Essentially, it's a 47-passenger.
Okay.
We don't feel that we need to overbuy, is how she came up. She looked at her routes, she looked at her population, she looked at location, geography. No need to be purchasing a 72-passenger, so.
What's the price difference between?
Can we hold on?
Probably another $10,000,
No, until,
yeah,
until.
on the lease,
warrant.
yeah.
Yeah.
On the 10,000
Yeah,
a year?
let's wait for the
Yes.
warrant article to discuss it,
Yes.
Steve.
Yes.
Hey, guys,
Okay.
so, any other questions on the budget?
Stan's-
I just have a
Yes.
comment. The budget as presented actually keeps the school at the status quo without any changes or improvements. So if we cut another $389 and so forth, then we will have to make some significant changes to programming. And we'll have to remove teachers that are actually needed in the classroom and paras that are actually needed in the classroom. We've done all the removing of teachers and paras we might not need because Middleton's gone. And so this is the budget where the school doesn't change. So if you make any cuts to the budget, or don't add those things back in that we couldn't save on, we will have to change our programs and reduce our quality.
I don't believe that's accurate. There's no, this budget here had no proposed cuts to it. This budget was prepared in anticipation of the health insurance change.
Right.
So it's not status quo if the health insurance doesn't change, as far as the operation is.
If the health insurance doesn't change and you take that $300,000 off of here,
It's
already taken off.
It's already off. There's no,
It's
we're
already
not
off.
proposing a
Right,
cut
we're
here.
gonna have to reduce staff. is what
You
you're
had
Yes.
reduced staff?
We are gonna have to reduce
So
staff.
we're not proposing any cuts or asked to propose a cut tonight. Yeah.
well, yeah, my
This
thoughts are
budget
talking
is-
about the cuts in the budget that we
This
need.
budget is status quo if the health insurance changes, as far as
That's correct.
personnel, educational opportunities.
So, with the health insurance not being added into the budget, we're still looking at a $1.59
Right.
tax increase.
Correct.
Okay. Just. Mhm. Okay, where do we want to go now?
I'm waiting, we can either cut something, or we
Oh,
can.
well, we're gonna start looking,
I would like to.
okay.
You wanna go line by line, what do you wanna do?
It's just,
We've seen this more than once, so,
well, I think let's take the easy one for the change.
okay.
The assistant principal at Valley View for $62,000.
What page?
Page 23, line 495. That already shows a reduction. That already shows that line being taken out. Laurie, this was your decision and not the school board's to take it out of this line?
Well, it was an assistant principal, so I had to actually take it from a line,
A line.
a line.
Do we have any discussion over whether this is, Valley View is a good place, or should it be Henry Wilson, or do we put it
It's not
back
up to
in?
us.
Huh?
It's not up to us.
Unless you wanna change the number,
Well,
on the line item, I think important.
We can move the
Vice
line
The only
President,
thing we
do
can
you
do
have
is
any
zero it out, right? But that, so,
Zero it out would be adding 62,000 to the budget.
no,
No, it's
no,
a
we
dollar
zeroed it
right
from
now.
$1.
It's $1 right now.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
I
sorry.
put it all.
Yeah, okay.
But didn't you say you put that there just to have like a placeholder of where to put it, that it could change? So,
Yes,
it's
I mean,
just a
by
placeholder right
practice, I
now.
put, I leave a line active with $1 in it.
Right, but it's just a placeholder. It could be,
That's all it can mean
right.
at this
You
point.
have to take it out of somewhere, I mean,
Right.
you wanna
Yeah,
do
that's
it
the
tonight,
problem.
I mean,
We don't know
I
in
had,
reality where it's gonna come from.
you wanna close that line out then?
no, because
No.
if they do a part-time, they'll split it between the two schools if they do it this way.
Yes, we don't
so.
want to close the line.
Okay. I had planned to propose putting some money back in, if not for an assistant principal, at least a para, to pick up some of those duties. But given everything else that's happened, I don't think that adding money back in at this point will make that happen.
No.
No.
I think there's a consensus of that. Not unanimous, but a consensus.
But the discussion was that it could be picked up by a para, but they zeroed out the line. So there's no money for a para if you cut it all.
So let's
Well,
leave the dollar in there, so.
They-
That's
they-
not-
Insurance went down.
The dollars in there just leaves it open.
Yeah, again, if they do a share, the budget will show some at each school when they decide what to do.
So,
I don't wanna cut teachers, I don't wanna cut paras, but then we have sports. And I do remember paying for 3 children in sports at one time, so I don't know if that's something we wanna look at. I'm just throwing it out there.
But again, that's up to the school board.
Yeah.
Right, but
I think they've done a pretty good job.
I think that there was a really nice plan put together
I do too.
to minimize the impact of the withdrawal.
I think he did a great job.
Yeah, and you did a good job.
Yeah, I think he did, and I think, you know, I think we should look at what he's done, and I think they can do
I
that.
think, and I think it was a team effort too, you know, I mean.
Yep.
That's, you know, I thought we were presented with a plan that really minimized the impact.
He was originally told 1.5 million,
Right, and this.
and he came really darn close to it.
And one person just didn't put this together, you
No.
had the school board, you had Lori,
Yep.
Lori did a lot of work,
Yep.
and you had your administrators, so, I mean.
We all collaborated,
Yes.
definitely all collaborated, many, many hours of discussion. Trying to do what we thought was best, what we could do with
I think they
limitations.
did a good job.
You did work hard on it.
Sam, you have any input on this?
Looking good. I don't have any problems with it. They did some good work. They cut what they needed to cut. I had one question, is that the, in the high school and so forth, and they talked about the assistant principal, the Henry Wilson had 410 students, and it was cut where they had 395, but the high school had 298 students. Why wasn't it cut to 298? Why at the higher number?
Well, last year was, I mean, the 15-16 budget, we've already experienced those cuts based upon the Middleton students leaving.
That's it.
So
Thank you.
That's why,
Yep.
you know,
Thank you. I
at least
remember now.
fortunately, having a two-pronged withdrawal has helped us through this process.
Thank you.
Still looking? You have anything?
I'm still going
through it. If anybody else has
I'm fine.
go ahead and throw it up.
Jody? Steve, you have anything? Are you looking?
No, I'm good. Like I said, I've been studying the plan that was put together by the team, and I really liked it.
I think they've done a good job.
I think there was a real minimal impact plan put together.
So the basic thing is the reason for the reduction, because we had some of the people removed, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, Middleton pulled out the two-year process.
How many teachers did we lose?
Don't know now.
Well,
Or did we?
hold on, let me give you that answer. Based upon a reduction, so it was 8.5 teachers, okay, and 5 paraeducators as a result of reduced enrollment. So of those, the teaching staff, it was 4 at Valley View, 3 at Henry Wilson, 1 district-wide teacher, and a .5 teacher at the high school. Now again, in 15-16, we've already had, the high school was impacted by staff, whether it was essentially through attrition at the high school. Nobody really lost their jobs. It's just as people retired, fortunately, everyone else was able to move into a position. So it's 8.5 teachers in this proposed budget and 5 paraeducators.
Great, thank you.
And those reductions had no impact on student opportunities.
Well, that's where we were really trying to, you know, really take a look at that and not have it impact programming, not have it encroach on the minimum standards that we have to meet. So that's why we're saying that we just cannot go and cut additional staff.
And stay essentially status quo.
Right.
The fuel, the heating oil, and propane expenses for the schools. When this was done, the rates were higher than they are now.
The reverse, well, actually the reverse.
Page 31.
What I did, right, when this current year's budget, I'm going off of memory.
You base it on $2.15 a gallon.
I did, I kind of used a blended rate. It's hard to say what that rate is going to be come this fall. Right now, we do have a bid rate, we're at $1.85. In this current year's budget, or last year, when you look at the comparison, I think we were at $2.40. So I tried to go the middle of the road. Let me see, I'm just trying to find this here.
So you've budgeted for an increase?
I am actually putting in for an increase. Again, that's forecasting, I'm not a hedge fund.
Yeah.
When we pre-buy though, right?
We do a bid, and basically what I have done is I've crafted that bid so that, okay, what's the price if we do provide the cash up front versus pay-as-you-go with a locked-in rate for the season. We've worked it out with the town. There really wasn't a difference in the savings.
When do you
We're
usually lock
actually
in?
considered a small account, preschool buildings.
And when does the contract come up for renewal?
It takes us through the June 30th.
So we're looking at July 1st where we could buy and
Start-
refill?
Right, we start all over again from the final line.
Yeah, I'm just trying to determine the
it's a
date that
five-
you set your rate, I guess, or when you make the
682.
commitment.
It's in the, right, in the summer, 682. Oh, 682, thank you.
Yep, 680, it starts at 681, yep.
That's why you may see some savings there.
562, okay.
I know the cost of home heating oil is running $1.59 a gallon. I'm not proposing we cut it that much, and it's predicted to go down due to recent events. I think maybe we could safely cut those to $1.80 a gallon for the next year.
That's good.
I just have a question. Are you contracted with the town for your propane or your oil? Are you in with the town on that altogether, or what's
Actually,
the-
your town administrator shared with me what the locked-in rate was, and I got in touch with them and said, okay, will you honor it? Again, we're a small account. They said sure.
Right, but you'll be paying the same rate that the town?
Yeah, I think it's what, $1.64? I think it's $1.64 for the propane, right?
For propane?
Yep.
How about oil?
Well, that's also I did this bid in collaboration with your town administrator.
Okay.
So that the company would take a look at what all the consumption would be over a period of 12 months.
And these are the
So-
rates that he gave you?
This is my estimated, in this current year, see, I'm not doing a bid for next July now, okay? So this is my estimated rate. I'm gonna expect that the rate's gonna go up. I think this year we had a great rate, but the idea is that if you cut this line so close, if I've got any other issues, we have any other issues in the budget, unforeseen repairs or anything, we have no other place to go.
Actually, you
Sorry.
do. You get the 5% or whatever, 2%. 2.5.
You have the 2.5% as long as it's a proven, I don't
Running
want
out
to use
of
the
oil
word
might
catastrophic,
probably
a special
need that.
education placement. It's got to be something very, very serious. We'd have to have a budget hearing, and we do have to go to the commissioner. We do have to go to,
That's probably a lot for the amount of people.
that would be something really, really serious.
We can't guarantee that oil's gonna go down that low next year. I
No.
mean, we've seen it go from, $2 a gallon up to almost $4 and then back down.
Right, that's why I took the
So-
middle of the road.
Yeah, anything can happen.
I don't think it's gonna, well, my opinion
We
is,
hope.
it's not gonna go up 60
Did it
cents.
stabilize over there while I was sleeping?
When is your lease up at the SAU, at that building?
That would be at the end of 2017.
2017.
Actually, it'd be, July, I think it's July 31st, 2017.
Do you have a clause, if they find a place for the SAU to be, or you, call it the SAU?
Well, it would be a non-appropriation clause, is that what you're referring to?
Well, what I'm referring, let's say you find a place, let's say you go onto a wing at the Henry Wilson, and can you get out of your clause, or do you have to, can you get out of that contract?
There would have to be a reasonable enough notice to that landlord to do that. Off the top of my head, I think that they would be looking 6 months' notice. I mean,
Okay.
keep in mind, we already did renegotiate.
Right,
I mean,
right.
we brought
But I
it down
know
to
that-
18, that amount of square footage down to $1,800 a month is, actually, it's
Because
It's
I
bargain.
wanted
It
to
really
cut
is.
the rental cost, but if you don't think you're gonna be out of there and you've got the lease to 2000, you probably won't be out of there for
I'm on, Neil and I are on the committee looking at the space needs. We're not looking at any budgetary savings in the next couple of years probably from a move anyways, just because any move will have remodeling
I
costs
hope you
associated
work
with it.
a little bit faster than a couple of years, because at least my
No,
two,
that's
No,
I mean,
it's the cost associated with remodeling and stuff, so even if they moved tomorrow, we're gonna spend some money to remodel the building, so if it's not rent, it's remodeling cost.
all right.
So is
So-
that hopefully gonna be looked at by
We're in the
time this
process.
lease is up?
They may be moved by then, but it's not gonna, the rent line may go to zero, but there's gonna be some other costs someplace else.
Right,
To
right.
prepare the space.
Okay.
Then down the
Right.
road, we're not looking at a rent payment
But
anymore.
you've kind of got a timeline. I'm trying to look at that.
Yes.
So would it be worth me cutting the 21,000 out of there?
No, because then we couldn't even, we'd have to start getting a place ready for them, and we couldn't, with no money, and it'd probably be more than 21,000, even to get a place ready.
Yeah, I don't think so either, you do it right.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to reduce lines 681, 82, 83, 84, and 85, heating oil, and base it on $1.95 a gallon, down 20 cents a gallon.
I'll second that for discussion.
That's a $12,650 savings for those, total for those lines.
So 12,000?
Yeah, I didn't break them out by line, but $12,650.
What are those lines again, Neil?
I'm sorry.
You've given this a lot of thought.
681 through 685.
Got it.
Anybody have any discussion over that?
I guess my problem with that is, we got to guarantee you get $1.95 in the year 16, 17 with a wheel. That's, or gas, that's my problem. You know, there's no guarantee. And I guess my other question, a part of that is, if they buy it, it goes down from $2.15 to $2 a gallon, they're gonna be saving 15 cents, which is gonna add up, and that'll bring the bottom line down anyways, or where would that money go?
So far, I haven't seen wasteful spending where they spend it because it's
No.
there. They've been prudent.
No.
I'm not inclined to reduce that. I think if there's money left.
Well, my
they're
question
shown to-
was,
yeah.
if that happens, that money would still be in the budget to be put on the bottom line. If that happens, that's $12,000. However, there's no guarantee that it's gonna be $1.95 come next year.
No.
I mean, we didn't know how low it was gonna be this year. so.
But you did say, let's say if it's more than that, she'll have a public hearing.
Hmm?
She has to have a public hearing to get more.
No, I'm saying if you need to dip into a 2.5% fund, you'd have to have a
Approved by
public
DOE
hearing.
and a public hearing.
Yeah,
with the-
that's
There's a-
doing that.
A lot of stuff has to be done to access.
That
12 grand.
2.5%.
Yeah, which would be, potentially 12 grand if you project.
Sure, it costs money to have a public hearing.
No, but we're looking to access 12 grand if your projection was spot on.
Mm-hmm.
That the motion is to cut, so.
I think we should cut that. I
Um,
agree.
I don't think so.
Well, we've got a motion in a second, so we vote.
All in favor? Two, no, motion,
Gotta say opposed.
excuse me, opposed? Yeah, sure, a second. Okay,
4-4.
all right.
Didn't go.
try.
I didn't catch that?
It did
Yeah,
not pass.
no, we're gonna keep it the way it
3,
is.
4, 4 opposed.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody, yes,
I just have a question. At the December 5th hearing, we talked about oil and furnaces, and it was said or thought to say that you were going to look into doing something with the heating system because it was hot here and cold there, or is that something that's still
Right, our
happening?
facilities team, absolutely, that's an ongoing piece. Our facilities team, Larry Gordon,
Yeah.
has definitely been attentive to a lot of the issues and trying to be responsive. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about it as far as an update, but that's okay, but
But it's an
but
ongoing.
obviously, it's an ongoing thing. It's part of keeping a plant
Right, I
operating.
understand that, but I know
and
this
the-
has been going on for a lot of years,
Yeah.
and it's been really bad, so I'm saying, is it gonna be taken care of?
Yeah, maybe. Do you want to?
That's my question.
So
Yeah.
I'm not hearing a lot of
Thank you.
cuts. I'm
He's
hearing
working
people-
daily, regularly with Siemens Building Technologies, who
Thank you.
does the automation piece.
We want to come up with a number, when you see more cuts? I don't think we should cut it anymore.
I don't know, I think,
Stan's looking,
I think it's looking good, I do.
and you're feeling to keep it.
I'd still like an idea where that $90,000 is coming from.
I thought it was the SAU line, right? There's an
The
SAU line in
line.
this budget.
Yeah, but where?
Where in the SAU are they gonna take it out? Are you gonna take it out of personnel, or you have no idea? But I'm looking at the SAU budget, and I'm not seeing,
The vote didn't say.
you don't
that.
cut personnel, I can't see where else you could take it
I know.
on the SAU.
Penny, you want to repeat that again?
You know-
The vote was not said on where the money was coming from.
It just
It
that
just
line.
said $89,000, just to make it what Middleton's was not kicking in. It, nobody said where, there was a suggestion made, but there was no vote taken.
So you're saying take it off the bottom line of the entire school budget, not just,
I think that was,
Well,
The
that was
SAU
what
line.
that was what Mr. Welford's suggestion was.
Puts me in a bind.
When
though.
we had this budget, we had the SAU, the actual SAU budget in front of us when we looked at it.
Mhm.
So the difference was what Middleton wasn't kicking in. So none of us that we threw, Penny pressed us and we threw something out, and I made a suggestion. But we didn't vote on that suggestion, we just left it at that amount of money for that line.
And they're giving you an answer, so.
They've given me an answer, yes, I'm not gonna go through it again, but I understand what they did, and they understand my standpoint, my view
Right.
on it, so
So,
that horse has
I mean-
ridden.
when we vote in, are we voting, can we decide
Yes.
to put that 89 back in?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, we can decide.
we can take a vote on it.
Right, that's what
I'm not for that.
I don't know, because I mean, I don't know.
We don't know where it would go.
Where we're gonna take it from.
We know that, the 320's already.
I think they have an idea.
They're gonna choose.
We don't know where.
We don't know where, but,
It could pop up in any line at any time.
but after this
Magic.
budget, and when we're having another meeting, that's when we'll ask, or we can ask it to deliberate.
Okay, okay. So you can,
We can, you know, as citizens, we
access to
can
us.
make motions at deliberative session too,
right.
after we've gotten some more information.
Exactly.
They have a meeting Monday, correct?
Tuesday.
Tuesday, sorry. I missed that one.
Not for this, but for the.
No, right.
the
Well,
health
the school
insurance.
board meeting.
Oh, the
Yeah,
school
but the
board.
budget's not really on the, well, it is on the, because we're gonna have to make more cuts to this budget.
We have to
But
find.
we've been presented a budget. What do you mean you're making more cuts?
That $350,000 savings, we have to find it somewhere else, because this is the budget we gave you. We have to go and find places in this budget to cut another $410,000, the $89,000 plus
Yeah.
the $320. So we still have to go into this budget and find
Well,
those,
You're moving lines around at that point. The money's cut. I mean, it's not there.
Yeah, the money's
So you're
not
just
there.
moving lines around.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you gonna change this bottom line number, because I just closed the public
No,
hearing?
no.
All right.
No, they can't.
That's what I figured.
No,
Okay,
no.
I'm just,
What I'm saying is we have to go through as a school board and find where those.
to find the money, but you're not changing it, because after this public hearing, you can't. Yeah, okay.
The health insurance lines all have to increase
Right.
now, and other lines will have to decrease.
And other lines will have to be
as well.
decreased. Exactly.
Right. Okay.
Well, I mean, there's an option.
Just
Oh, sorry, Stan.
That's okay. So then, in an attempt to ease that pain, I will move to add 350,000 to the bottom line, so that will cover the healthcare and some of that 89 that no one can find.
I have a motion, do I have a second? If I don't have a second, it fails. I will take a motion for a total
Motion
number.
for the total number of $14,079,021.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor for that number?
That's not the number on this sheet.
I'm looking at this sheet. Am I looking at the wrong one?
But that adds the federal funds and the grants,
Okay.
the 1.5 million, 1.6 something or other.
Okay.
Dan?
So we have to approve the warrant article?
Yes.
Yes.
Could you
repeat the number, please?
14,079,0, I mean, 14 million. Huh?
Oh, that's 14 number, yeah.
Oh, you wanted the number that voted?
Same as the other one.
For the motion. That's what I told you. Yep. Oh, you wanna get the, okay,
That's how they get to the bottom number.
okay, yeah, I know.
So we have, okay.
We gotta vote on that.
I'm
Oh,
looking.
that's on a warrant, I just wanted to go without, what, everyone's not in
I
here.
did, so I missed the vote because there was a lot of confusion there, so.
Well, that's why I like talking one at a time, so, okay. So we're going, cancel that, because we're gonna go over it again, so. This is the bottom number I have, I'm not gonna go over the warrant one yet, but, so, with the tax increase for 159, we're keeping the price, the budget for $15,756,816.
Was that a motion?
That's a motion. Do I have a
For
second?
the warrant article?
It concluded
Yeah,
with-
We're approving
that's
the
not the
warrant.
number
We're
that's
gonna
up
approve
there.
Article 3 now, yes.
Second vote for that.
Do you mind if I provide you some, just a little bit of clarity while you're.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, they're confused.
On this sheet, this is your
Yep.
tax rate sheet, the very bottom of the legend as to what comprises warrant article number 3.
Okay.
By law, you have to
funds.
raise and appropriate, you have to gross appropriate.
Right,
So that legend shows you that the general fund, and that includes the SAUPs, is $14,079,021. Added to that, we have food service, an appropriation of $475,000. We have federal grants that come in, $1,191,795. And then preschool, what parents pay for preschool students, that's $11,000. So all of those total on your tax sheet, $15,756,816,
816.
right here. Because you have to gross appropriate, these three here are actually gonna get backed out. You'll have some, we have
That's what
revenue,
that number is,
there's
right
also a revenue
Right.
source on the other side of your balance sheet, okay?
Yep.
If you're gonna approve our budget, we will be looking at $15,756,860.
And that's what the
Pennies.
Article 3 is.
So we going over warrant?
So, what, okay, I'm gonna tell you. We've gone through the budget, closed the public hearing, we're agreeing to this budget, now we're gonna do the warrant articles, okay? Anybody have any issues with that?
Well, they want to redo the vote.
Did we vote?
Who wants to redo the vote?
Well,
On Article 3.
Yeah,
Okay.
Article 3.
For Article 3, I'm gonna read it, shall the Farmington School District raise and appropriate the operating budget not including appropriations for special warrant articles and other appropriations voted separately, and separately for the amounts set forth for the budget posted with the warrant or is amended by the vote of the first session, for the purpose to set forth therein totaling $15,756,816. Should this article be defeated, the default budget shall be $17,283,019, which is the same as last year, with a certain adjustments required by previous action of the Farmington School District or by law, or the governing body that may hold one special meeting in accordance to the RSA 14-13, Article, what, okay,
10 and 16.
to take up the issue and revised operating budget only. Note this operating budget warrant article does not include appropriations contained in any other warrant articles. So do I have a motion for Article 3?
motion for.
I'll second that.
And all in favor? All opposed? Motion passes.
What was the count? Because that's gotta be listed
Four
on the
to
warrant.
two.
4-2.
Is that
You saw that
4-2? I thought it was
one?
5-2.
It's 5-2.
Excuse me?
5-2.
Did you say 5-2?
Sorry, I haven't on the chart.
Okay.
Don't want to.
I know, who's closer? Okay, Article 1, so Article 2, Article 4. Okay. Yep, we're going to Article 4. Do you want to read Article 4 since I'm going to abstain from it? I'm abstaining to Article 4 because I work at Valley View, so I'm going to have Neil read it, please.
Okay, Article 4, shall the Farmington School District approve the cost item included in the collective bargaining agreement reached between the Farmington School District and the Farmington Education Support Paraprofessionals United, which calls for the following increases in salaries and benefits at the current staffing levels. The year 2016 to 2017, the estimated cost is $94,753. 2017 to 2018, the estimated cost is $20,501. The school board recommended this article with a vote of 3 for and 2 against.
Can I ask, how many paras total will this, will this
43.
apply to?
It says current staffing levels, so is that staffing levels for this school year or projected for the next school year? Because we're projected to need fewer paras.
43, right, 43. When you say current staffing levels, that's a snapshot right now.
So this number includes people that will not work here in the following school year.
Correct.
So we're going
So
down
it's really not
by
a good number,
5 paras, so it'll be the,
right?
Oh, excuse me, current proposed, yes. We do have 5.
And do we get
We're
text
working
of the
on
agreement?
47,
Or
what's that?
do we get text of the agreement with the changes? Because I don't know what changed from the previous
Um,
agreement.
I'll tell you.
It does take into consideration 5 people being removed from that census. I
Okay.
stand corrected.
So it's a good number.
There is, yes.
Okay.
The agreement is up on the website, but I just, with that caveat, it does need to be proofread. We've got, the changes inserted in here, but it is on the website. And I don't know if you want me to scroll to any particular areas on this.
You have some questions first, before we get to the line?
Sure.
Good.
How many paras do we currently have?
Okay, so right now, we've got.
43.
We have 47. 47. Because we also have they also had to be figured in with the grants, federal grants.
Okay.
Still has to be included in this whole bargaining group. If they move from a federal grant and they go to, general operating budget, it still has an impact. Plus, we do have a couple of vacancies. But this has all been calculated as if we don't have the 5 are removed.
Okay, so
Positions are removed.
this agreement will apply to 42 paras, based on current staffing level?
Correct.
Decisions?
Correct.
Last year, their hours were cut to 28, is that right? Or was it
So
30?
they were 5 3/4 hours, right.
Okay, so 5 3/4?
5 3/4 hours per day.
Down from 6 3/4, right? Down from 6 3/4.
Okay, so it's
Correct.
28 hours, roughly?
Yeah.
28, 29.
does this new agreement still have that same the same number of hours?
The number of hours that the paras work is not in.
That's
in
not
the
changing?
agreement.
Oh.
That's a school
Yeah, the hours.
decision.
Okay.
So the school board could increase hours as needed.
What was that paper that we got? This one?
Just to say the price.
That's
Just
how it's
explain
broken
that.
That's your impact.
Okay.
Do you want me to explain that sheet right now?
Yeah, could you?
Yeah. So if you look at that sheet, it's sort of a summary of the cost impact of the negotiated contract. And the basic principles that we try to go forth, we negotiated in good faith in a problem-solving type of method, and it was really successful, I thought, the first time we've done it here in Farmington, and I think we got a really nice result out of it. We went on the premise that we wanted to try to reward loyalty for people who've been here for many years and to retain quality paraprofessionals who we've seen in the past year since the hours were cut. They've been leaving to get full-time jobs in other places. So we're trying to give them some incentive to retain themselves here and reward the loyalty. So we stabilized the pay scale so that the raises in between steps as you increase with the years were out of whack and they were not even. So we stabilized that. They're all an even number in between steps, so that's fair. We made the step scale fair. There was a long hallway. You stayed at the first step, and then you stayed at the second step for several years, and then you increased rapidly. So we sort of evened it all out so that the steps would be evenly spread out over the course of your time here. And then the first year they got a 50-cent raise, and the second year is a 25-cent raise. And then we also put everybody on their correct step. We had some problems because of lack of contracts in years that have gone by. Some paras do not match their step level with their years of experience, and the problem is when a new person comes in with a certain year of experience, they may start at a higher level than paras who've worked here for many years. So we stabilized that to put everybody on their right increase and the right longevity piece, and we the right step with respect to their experience, and we also then increased their longevity. So those things, the wage and the FICA are there, and the longevity increase, and they also wanted one holiday which sort of matches what the teachers get the day after Thanksgiving, and those are the costs there. Stepped out for the both years.
You got it?
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Any other questions on this article?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. The teacher's contract specifies a number of days a year, so they don't have paid holidays or unpaid holidays. They have so many days. So it's tough to compare because they're not hourly. What does that work out to a percentage increase on the pay scale?
Paying them their holiday?
I'm not sure.
Like a percentage increase, 10% raise, 2% raise, 0.5%?
Oh, that I don't know.
Do we have that broken down? Is it something?
I didn't think that would be in the contract, but I was hoping it was.
No, it's not.
You would know.
It was just 50, we went by 50 cents. Do you have this? Yeah, go to the schedule and I'll calculate it.
Page 18.
See that, it's a good way to get on.
Right there.
Okay, so we don't see.
So 1095 minus 50. So it's 1045.
10% would be about, so it's about 5%.
1045.
Little less than 5%.
No, that's what that's
The new step.
right.
So, yeah, it's 5%. A little less. Yeah, 5 minutes.
Well, 5% on the bottom, not even close on the top.
Yeah. Changes about 2% on the bottom.
Yeah.
So it looks like the flat 75 cents per step.
Yeah, there's 75 cents per step, which was the average increase of each step, but it wasn't 75% evenly.
75 cents.
Laurie, do you happen to have the 2015 wage schedule? So we can compare it to?
I didn't, I was gonna say it would be on the PELRB site. So at the higher end, I think, nobody had surveyed that the last three steps
Were about 3%.
Yeah.
And that for attracting new people, it was slightly a higher
So
percentage.
it's a 25
Oh, wow,
cent.
you got that quick.
Oh, I didn't figure out the percentage. It's just a 25 cent.
It was a little under 5 on the first step.
What's that? I know, it was,
Looks like that.
Yeah, Can we put those windows side by side?
To-
Can we put them side
Right,
by
because
side?
it remained no change.
Right there?
What's that?
If you break them to separate windows, you can.
Yeah, you can.
Oh, oh, no, so you got it.
There we go.
Trying to tile it.
She's had smartboard 102.
Yeah. That would be it. There we go. Yep. And you-
Sometimes it's just easier to write it
It's a
down.
little bit, yeah, it doesn't.
Don't touch
If you
the top of
drag
the
Yeah.
each
board.
one window all the way to the left and one all the way to the right, it's supposed to do it.
All right, I wrote it all down.
Yeah.
5%.
Did you get your question answered?
I think what happens is one goes over the other way.
No, it's when you touch the top. You
Right.
don't touch the top of the board. Just keep it down in the middle.
Yep.
Long day.
No, it's not 5%.
That's more than 50 cents. Oh, yeah, okay.
It isn't.
Because this right now, although it says wage schedule 14.50, it's the same wage schedule as current year, 15.60.
15, 16, right.
1040 to 1095.
That's more than.
Okay, yeah.
That's the 150, but.
Yeah, so
it's
that's
For the first line.
5%, yeah.
Yeah, well, I took the difference between top and
There
There
bottom.
isn't an
divided it.
agreement
okay.
for 15,
And
16.
then that was the 75
Right.
cents.
All right.
Looks like it's around 5%, Steve.
Yeah.
Only at the bottom, the top ones.
Oh, the first one.
The first one's
First one's
5%.
5%.
Right, but you're talking a 50-cent increase on a much higher amount. so
Oh,
it's
I know.
a smaller percentage.
What do you
They
mean?
should get up.
Okay.
You all set, Steve?
Right.
Yeah.
So early
Good.
on, in earlier steps, to attract people, it is just about just slightly under 5%. And then it drops down. But then the longer it is, it's
Two.
more like 3%.
Fortunately, I happened to download the agreement, so I have a step ahead of some of the other people on the board. But one of the things, section 8.9, you've increased the longevity payment from $500 to $1,000, and for less than 15 years. And for more than 15 years, it's gone from 1,000 to 1,500. You've increased it 500. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's the longevity piece. That
For the longevity piece.
Right.
Part I don't understand, and maybe Laurie could, or somebody can, a break in service due to reduction in force shall not constitute an interruption on consecutive years of employment. If there's a reduction in force, and somebody's been reduced and not here any longer and comes back 2 or 3 years later, you're giving them those 2 or 3 years?
No, but they don't lose their past.
Right.
8.9.
It is 8.9, okay.
So if they had 5 years, they keep those 5.
They keep the 5.
They pick up.
They keep what they have,
They don't start at ground
Yeah,
one again,
that's what I'm saying.
year one
But
again.
they don't get credit for the 3 years they weren't there.
Right, yeah.
Okay, that's just, I wanted that.
Yeah.
The other thing is, the step shall be assigned based on actual years of experience annually. All para-educators will be on their appropriate step by year 2 of this contract. Does that mean that for the 2 or 3 years that the taxpayers voted down the para-contract and gave them nothing, they're gonna be awarded those steps?
Basically for experience, yes.
It's a catch-up, yes.
So the voters voted this down and it's being rewarded back to them? Essentially?
There,
You can look at it that way, but.
Well, that's the way I'm looking at it.
Well, you can look at it that way if you want to.
But they didn't get that money in those years.
Right.
This isn't
But the
making
voters
them-
turned them down.
For those years. The
Right.
voters didn't
So
turn
you're
them down
going-
for this year yet.
Essentially, you're overriding the voters.
No, we're not retroactively paying them for 5 years ago. We're asking to get them on current step right now. What happened 5 years ago is in the past and it stays there. But we're not overriding anything.
If I can just
Kathy.
speak to that. My thinking with this is that we are getting grieved if someone comes from Rochester and they have 5 years of experience and we hire them here, they're making more than someone else that's been here for 5 years.
Mhm.
And that causes a problem. So then they come to us and they say, that's not fair. So that's a grievance, and our staff is spending time on that. And I mean,
That's
to
separate
me-
from the pay scale, though.
Yeah, I get that, but
But this alleviates those problems.
it
That's
alleviated
step one.
that was
You're not
my
getting grief because
thinking.
you don't have a high enough wage in the scale. You're getting grief because you're not in the right step.
Right.
Used to be years
But
where
that's
it's
separate from the
6,
numbers in the
so
pay
now they're
scale.
gonna
The
go
grievance
up
is
to-
over where they are
They're
in
gonna
the
get like a
step,
$1
not the dollar amount of
Some of them
step.
Which is
Right.
why we put
Across
them,
the board.
which is why we
Everybody
thought
else
we
here.
put them where they should be on their, on step, so that we could alleviate grievances for at least 2 years if this passes.
Right. But that's really a separate piece from the increasing
Right,
steps.
exactly.
The value of each
Anybody
step.
got a question for that?
I,
Jody?
can you just go back to the 14, 15, 15, 16, or whatever it was, that, how you had the splits there? I just want to see what the steps were originally,
Yeah, move that one over. a
but the
little bit.
years, yeah.
Listen, can
that
you
one
slide
on the
that one
left
over?
is-
Just
Just
slide
pull
the
that
old
one
one
over.
over so that they can see the whole thing.
Yeah.
She wants to see the steps and the years.
Yeah, thank you. So someone
Oh, so you stayed on the same step for a while.
Yeah,
who go up
until they were
to-
getting tired and leaving.
It's only 2 years, they're only going up to step
'Cause
2.
they had to be there 6 years before
Where
they
they're
got
on
All right,
step
yeah,
one.
so
It's
that's
only
the first
6
step was
years.
over $1.
But if they're on
Is
step
going up to,
7,
is
So
going, if
we
they're on
stretched it out
step
so
2
that
right
you're
now
still on
and has
step
6
6
years
by year
service,
10, but it just spreads
they're
the other
at,
ones
let's say
out
1154.
in the new one.
And now they're gonna go
You mean
up
dollar-wise?
to step
No, no,
4.
no, just over the years in the
It's a
step.
two-step process
By,
now?
by year, by,
So
in
they
the
go
old
up to
one,
step
on,
4.
your with 10
So
years
they're
of
on
experience,
step
you're on
2
step
now.
6, and that's true in the new
So
one
it's
as
a-
well. So it evens out
Yeah.
at step
$1.50.
6.
You mean $1, it should be step 10.
No, they're not every year, because they double. See, and the
Oh,
new
right,
one,
okay, maybe 9 years. All
yeah,
right.
so they just still combine for, you still wait for the younger ones, but when you get older or you
I
have more
got you.
experience.
Nine,
But by step 6, you're still on
I-
10 years.
Excuse
So
me,
do you-
are we ready to vote on this, or do we have more questions?
I have one more question.
Go right ahead.
Same question I ask every time we have one of these. How many people are leaving, and how much trouble have we had replacing or hiring people for these positions at the current wage scale?
How many people are leaving, you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, have we lost a lot of people because of the pay scale? And are we having trouble filling those positions with qualified people?
We're having problems
We've
getting
lost-
applicants. That I think is legitimate, but I think that's also something that's happening in a lot of districts. If you look on edjobs.com right now, there are a lot of paraeducator positions, and most districts aren't sure exactly why they're struggling to get people. Are we struggling to get applicants? Yes.
Okay.
Probably because most districts are using their paras as a way to save money, and so they're all going part-time, and people need to work full-time in order to support their families. So they're leaving the profession, which is why lots of districts are having trouble getting them. You can't get qualified people and have them work part-time and expect them to keep certified and be educated and all of that.
Okay, thank you. Ready for a vote?
The tax impact, which is not listed on this for this.
22 cents.
22 cents.
22 cents.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, should be.
For the
It's
first
under
year.
Article 4.
Yeah.
For the first year. And then there's an additional 4 to 5 cents the second year.
So do I have a motion to accept?
So made.
Should you be making that motion?
Excuse me?
You sure you want to make that motion?
I'm making it.
I'm not making it, I'm just saying it.
Okay,
I'm gonna abstain.
okay.
So I'll, we have a motion, do I have a second?
I have seconds.
Stan,
Thank you. All in favor? All opposed? Any abstentions? I abstain. And
4, 2, 1. 4, 2, 1.
4, 2.
I missed the count.
4, 2, 1. 2 and 1.
4, 2, 1. Okay, thank you.
See, my social security went down there.
Okay, so we're gonna go to Article, ready? Article 6? You guys all set?
No, it's a different.
Article 6.
Oh, six, yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
We got people chatting.
Mhm.
Article 6, shall the voters of the Farmington School District vote to authorize the school board to re-enter in a 4-year lease agreement for $80,320 for the purpose of leasing one school bus for the pupil transportation, and raise and appropriate the sum of $20,080 for the first year's payment for that purpose. The lease agreement contains an escape clause.
I make a motion.
I second. All in favor?
Well,
Don't we get to discuss?
Oh, sorry. I'm trying to move this meeting along.
so we're gonna, how much does this, what's the tax impact on this?
Tax
A
impact
nickel.
plus 5 cents. With all the meetings we had, it seems like it's very well needed.
5 cents, yeah.
5 cents on the tax impact.
I'll just say again, I'd like to get out of the habit of leasing and start doing some capital reserves to general fund for this stuff. They're ongoing expenses, we need them. And there's no need to be paying interest for stuff we gotta buy anyways.
Any other discussion?
Is there has there been an option? We have no capital reserve to purchase a bus
There's $6,000 in it, if I remember right, in the trust fund.
in the trust fund?
Capital reserve, $6,600. Yeah, I think we expended it last year. Was it 2 years ago?
I think we made a lease payment out of it for a year, didn't we?
Yeah, you're talking about the bus?
Yeah, 2 years.
I think it was 2 years ago.
I think there was a question about funding a lease payment from the capital reserve, I think we did.
Yeah,
I thought so. Or we-
the first year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the second year had to come out of taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, second and subsequent, okay. All right,
Purchase
good.
it at the end of the lease?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna call for a vote for Article 6.
I have one more question
Yep,
if I may.
go right ahead.
Is this a dollar buyout or fair market value?
We're gonna lease to own it,
Right, but you're gonna pay something at the end of the lease. Is it a dollar or fair market value?
$1.
Okay.
Again, any other questions? All in favor? All opposed? Everyone in favor?
What was the number? Unanimous. Unanimous?
Yeah. Okay.
Just out of curiosity, did the school board vote on this yet? It's not listed on the warrant article.
Well,
Uh-oh, another story.
actually, we had a lot of discussion on it, and I didn't actually see the meeting minutes, so you're gonna be enacting on this Tuesday evening, please.
Well, when we go to the deliberate, I would like to see if the school board voted for it or opposed it.
Oh, absolutely, that has to be out there, that has to be
Okay.
disclosed to the public, what the, right.
Yeah, if they
In an
don't approve it,
SB2
it
community,
doesn't go forward.
Well, I
it's
just-
required that votes are provided.
Usually we have that before, but I know that we have issues going on, so. Okay. All right, Article 7. Shall the Farmington School District vote to raise and appropriate up to $50,000 to be placed in the outdoor athletic facility capital reserve fund established in April 1999, or a different CRF per the school board? Excuse me. The sum is to come from the June 30th, 2016 unassigned fund balance available for transfer on July 1st. No amount raised is from taxation.
And again, the school board has not taken action, specific action on it. So this is my red line in here that,
Okay.
basically looking at
Something in terms of building capital.
Okay, so my question is,
So
you guys
outdoor
want-
athletic facilities capital reserve.
I'll move for discussion.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll second for discussion.
Okay. I don't like it as written. I think the Building and Grounds Fund gives us more flexibility with the money if we're gonna. The Building and Grounds, I think we can still use for athletics, but we can
Yes,
use
you
for
can.
other things too.
Are you
And
talking
I
about,
like more flexibility rather than less.
is that the one that was established in 1993?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Yes.
1999.
If it is, yes, you do, the language does give you flexibility for buildings, yes, or fields.
And that fund currently has $26,800 and $850.
Now, nobody said anything about the roof this year. There's always discussion about having to replace a roof
Was it replaced last year?
in the high school.
Yeah, go on.
But we've been setting aside money.
Yeah,
To
it's
replace
been
Except for the
an
last
eminent
few
need,
years.
you know, collapse for well, since I've been on the board, I think, so.
Can we stay with Article 7 and then discuss the roof?
Well, that fund would allow for, the athletic facility fund you can't use for the roof. So I'm talking about changing the fund. That could be used for a roof or whatever else is needed.
So if we, can we change the wording in this?
No, I don't think so.
No, we can't change the wording. We can,
We can just say we don't recommend it.
right,
Yeah.
do you have another comment, Steve, or a question?
I don't know if we can approve it at a meeting after the school board meets, or if this is our deadline.
We can do what we've done before, after, post a meeting
Right.
to be held following the deliberative
Right.
session,
Right.
Okay,
immediately following the deliberative session.
okay.
And then we can we can make our vote at that deliberative session. Or we could actually do it beforehand.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I'd be fine doing it before deliberative,
Yeah,
and
me
then it
too.
can be talked about at deliberative.
And then, yeah,
Yeah.
so,
so post,
But if they
motion to
change the
table?
fund,
yeah,
Yeah.
Motion-
the wording.
Second?
okay. All in favor to motion Article 7?
to table it.
To table it, excuse me.
And that gives the school board time to decide which CRF to take it out of and
Okay, so we're gonna post a meeting on January 30th,
for
8:30.
8:30.
Is your meeting at 9, Lori? On the 30th?
The deliberative is at 9, yeah.
Okay, so
we don't have to do that far in advance. Half an hour
we won't have a meeting on the 30th,
before
right
deliberative.
before, which, when do we do it?
8:45, I think, is fine.
What do
It'll
you
be
guys-
half an hour to.
Doesn't,
Okay.
15 minutes either way, doesn't matter.
8:45?
Meeting 8:27?
So what do you wanna do, 8:45?
Are we
On the
meeting the
30th?
27th?
Sure.
No, she said the 30th, right? 30th.
We are meeting on the 27th, do you wanna discuss
we
it
just do
then?
it?
Will you have the information, yeah, you're having a meeting
Okay,
on Monday?
I'm gonna need some directive then, because these warrants and all the documents need to be posted publicly by January 25th.
Okay.
Right,
So,
Including our recommendations?
I believe that you do tell the public what, I mean, to properly warn the voters by the statutory deadline. I think it has to be, it has to be a signed warrant by the board, and if you don't wanna make a recommendation,
Has this wording been approved? Was the school board's intention to take this action and put it into the outdoor facilities fund?
If that was the recommended fund, we didn't have
No, they didn't
discussion
take-
to solidify the fund.
right. They didn't take a vote.
And I think that
That
fund
was
was chosen
administration's
because it had been
recommendation.
depleted.
The board had talked about exactly what Steve talked about.
Yeah, I thought,
Yeah,
I
we
remember
did.
that.
so, even if we had our meeting the 27th, they're gonna be posted and done by the 27th.
So we need to
I-
vote on this tonight.
Yeah,
So,
I suggest that we don't recommend. Yes.
Just point of clarification, or point of order maybe, can we approve the Article 7 with the right, or with our appropriate fund in it, should that happen, and disapprove of the other one?
A conditional approval.
Conditional. If Article 7 appears with this one, then the board approves. If Article 7 appears this way, then it doesn't.
I don't know if we'll
Can you
have
do
enough
that?
time. Do you think we'll have enough
I don't know
time?
if we
No,
can do a
if we do that
conditional vote.
today.
Tonight.
tonight.
So you would approve
Right.
it if it said buildings and grounds, capital
Right.
reserve funds versus the.
And we have a
outright
meeting
vote.
Tuesday, so
And then
that'll be on the agenda.
We would have to discuss, and it will either match or we won't match.
So, but on the, on the 25th, when she has to have it, she'll have an answer. If it says,
If we do it conditionally, and then they agree to our
We-
condition.
Good.
We can vote it and not recommend it at this point. And this is exactly what we did at another occasion, whether it was right or not, I don't know, but prior to the deliberative session, we changed our recommendation.
Did it go on the ballot that way, though?
And it went on the ballot
It
with,
did.
with our change
Change.
recommendation.
Did it?
I don't know that you remember that
Super
meeting.
or something.
2 years ago. Yeah, it's a little fuzzy, a little hairy.
Snap, we want a number.
Not recommending, and then there was a clarification.
And then there were changes made to the warrant
I
article,
remember
and we
topic
held a
was.
meeting, and we voted to recommend it. That's when Gail
Okay.
Gail was still on the board, so that was a
Yep.
few years ago.
So I think we have to vote on it now, and then we can change our
And change
recommendation
it.
later.
Yeah.
So before it's printed,
So we can vote again right before the deliberative session.
Right.
I would
I'm gonna motion to untable it.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And do I have a motion to,
I'll have a, move to recommend Article 7 as written.
No.
Yes, and then we don't, if you don't want to recommend it, you don't.
Oh, okay, okay,
Don't, right.
okay.
It may change its writing,
Second.
okay, all in favor? Opposed? No, opposed?
So that count, I've got
Sorry.
half
but.
and
Where did
half.
you wanna go, Sarah?
Yeah.
I'll do the second one.
Okay.
Thank you.
Which
I
was,
I misread that
can I
one.
please have a count?
Seven,
Seven to
again,
none.
deny.
7-0.
Not to recommend.
Not to
Seven.
recommend.
Actually, 0-7.
But if the school board this week changes the wording on it,
And then we can
And
vote
7-0.
prior to
We may vote again.
so we'll plan on meeting
Personally,
at
I would approve it
8:45.
if it
So we're gonna meet at 8:45, 8:35, is that,
So, okay.
I hope it's legal.
yeah.
It is.
We did do
that
it before, we did it before.
Yeah, we did. We got away with it.
Yep,
Okay, so we can still schedule a meeting before the deliberative, like we talked about.
yeah, and that's what we're gonna do at
Okay,
8:45, if we
8:45.
get a change on that article, we'll have it before the meeting. And then at 8:45, we'll have our meeting, and then it will be changed, and go from there.
And number 8 is the last one.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there's no money.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm just gonna get here early and have our meeting.
Okay, Article 8, to see if the town will vote to require that the annual budget and all special warrant articles have a tax impact, as determined by the governing body, shall contain a notation stating that the estimated tax impact on this article, on the article. The recommended,
Motion to
motion,
accept.
thank
Do we
you.
recommend that one? It doesn't have money attached.
Well, I just said that, but I think we should.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been, there's a few of us that have been after this for the past number of years. So,
Yeah, for many years, we wanted that.
Motion to,
And I'll second. And all in favor? Anybody opposed?
7-0.
So, does this board have anything else that they want to say or discuss? Steve? Okay.
And the ice cream.
Lori, do you have any closing comments or anything?
Oh, I think I.
Okay, I think you did a wonderful job. You did a great job.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you
motion
very-
to adjourn?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, we're closed.
Thank you.
Call the wife, I don't know where she's at.
She's not done either?
Oh, she went out. But she doesn't go up the driveway. That's
Yeah,
We had to go up
So,
the driveway, pick her up,
That's why
come
it's
up back,
there.
but it's all ice.
I'm on it. That I'm on.
And I can go up, but she can't. Her car is too low. She's got a brand new car.
We could have at least
She can't make
seconded
it to drive.
$300,000. So we could cost.
Hopefully it rains enough to get rid of it, right?
Well, yeah. We really.
Yeah, but
I'm
it'll be
canceling. I'm supposed to
slippery
go to-
again in the morning.
About 3 o'clock supposed to start. I'm supposed to go to Dover by 9. I ain't going, but the only problem is she's gotta go to Massachusetts. Her cousin died.
Hopefully, we can find that.
So her mother's nephew.
Let go.
Something like that.
I suspect if I could get to the